Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And now we are going to present to you a very special item presented by the principal, the teachers, and the students of Villa Educativa School in Mexico. And a total number of 22 of them are going to share with you their insights and perspectives on how they can make a difference to the world in World Speech Day life.
I hope you enjoy our broadcast live and recorded participants from Villa Educativa School Saltillo, Mexico to the world. Congratulations, all of you. Okay, so be ready, students. We're going to let us know who's going to be the first.
Sure thing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you everybody so much for being here. My name is Alejandro, and today our first participant is going to be Alfredo Moran. He uses his spare time to research about new topics and know more about social situations in different cities and countries. He is very passionate about this topic he will share with us.
Alfredo,
The
it's your turn.
purpose, the purpose of our lives is to be happy and healthy. Dalai Lama. General health during pandemic. In summer vacations, I was feeling too lonely. Then I told myself, no, I am lonely. I need to get to know myself. So I asked myself, do I feel good, comfortable with me? I don't exercise, socialize, and sometimes I feel anxious. Then I knew that my physical, mental, and social health were deplorable. Later, I made myself the purpose of changing my health. I'd start doing more exercise, playing online video games to socialize, and then I'd start to hearing music and meditate, improving my mental health. I was feeling really alive and full. My productivity was increasing along my happiness. During pandemic, our social, mental, and physical health are severely damaged because here in home, it's too hard to have a good physical health because we don't have the space. It's hard for our mental health because we can just do limited things. And socializing is difficult because we can go out to meet new people just by apps, but these are not the same. Then we can make solutions. And one of them, it could be comparing your health before quarantine and your health now. Then you can make more solutions. Like in physical health, you can make the groceries. It's the best way because it's with our own body. And in our social health, we could chat or video chat with friends to feel more comfortable. Then in our mental health, we could do all this or we could hear music, study, whatever that make our mind be distracted. Those are ways that we could make to increase our health in a big way. It's fundamental that you take care of your health because if we don't perform ourselves, no one will take care about it. And we could die if we don't realize that. It is why it's important also. If we take care, we could feel more happier, alive, full and healthier. Know that you know how to take care of your health. It's fundamental and more during these pandemic days to be aware of our health. That's why I want all the people take care of themselves. Make yourself a priority.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Alfredo. And absolutely, it is important to take to pay a lot of attention to the things that we can change to make our time more productive. Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right. So with this, I would like to welcome our next participant. She enjoys spending time with her family and loves and cares for her pets. She wants to talk to us about a very important subject, communication problems within the family. With this, let's give a warm welcome to Renata Castro. Renata, it is your turn.
The importance of good communication in the family life causes benefits that reach good established in the development of the relationships of its members. Hello, I want to talk from my point of view about communication problems in the family and how they develop and are resolved. These problems are present in many homes and they have affected all the people who live in there, and they have to solve it day by day. But this is not easy, since with the quarantine, they have living more closely together. I have caused too much chaos in those places. There are different types of communication and many tools we can use. But what causes this lack of communication in families? One of the main problems of these behaviors is stressing parents. This, this tends to be very constant with the change of comfort zones in any person and ends up ruining other things. Family communication should be based on fa- on on truth and suspicion. We must all know how to act with empathy and base it on the family truth. It is logical that each one maintains and defends their criteria. This situation becomes more serious with the curfew. This leads to many people taking advantage of their power in their home and try to hurt women, children, and elderly. There are ways to deal with these stress problems caused by the confinement, but it's not very effective. In many cases, although they are people who are already used to these physical abuses, but they have intensified it in many homes and even in some cases causes mental health problems or even the suicide. So how do these people deal with it? Affected people can go to family therapy, but what is happening has become complicated, so they need to do it in programs like Zoom or virtual meetings. And there's not the same emotional advance like in normal shades. One way to establish the environment at home is to try to understand the other people's problems and try to solve it without hurting anyone else. Then we ask ourselves this question: affect long term? This situation is not particular of these difficult moments, but it has intensified this year. With that, we know that it's not an easy problem to solve. In many cases, the family doesn't support the affected person and become a biggest problem. So, how to improve my family's communication? We need to be patient, listen to others, express ourselves, and respect. Those are the key words to improve your communication, not only with your parents, but also with your siblings. When there is communication in a family, certainly it can be affirmed that there is a companionship, a complicity, and an atmosphere of union and affection at home.
Well, Renata, I couldn't agree with you more, Renata. Family is the ultimate support system of society. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you, Renata.
And with that, let us go to our next participant. His topic is obesity during quarantine. He's a student who likes to share his thoughts. He always has something to say, and this moment, I am sure it will be something that he will enjoy very much. And with this, let's give a warm welcome to Manuel Garcia.
Did you know that Mexico is the second place where obesity struck the most in 2020? That means that in this quarantine, we overstepped the 2019 place, in which we were in the third country with overweight population. To start this project, I'm going to state my opinion. So what I think happened is that the pandemic is the one that made everybody kind of lazy. And with the excuse, I'm going to do exercise later, or I'm going to eat healthy food later. So we began being floppy. And then, as we couldn't go outside, we started using devices like Rappi, Uber Eats, and apps like that that only promote fast food and make it more easy for people to get it. Now, there has been reports that overweight has gotten more dangerous in this pandemic. The available scientifics have filled us with evidence that the people who are more affected by this obesity, which only helps COVID-19, is the young people. The kids are the ones who are getting more affected by these two things that made the probability of death higher. But one of the problems that are related to this is how nowadays the minority ethnic population, such as Mexico and those countries who are living in more deprived areas, prefer to eat fast foods because of its price. And doing this leads to obesity and a greater risk from dying from COVID-19. As a nation, we eat and drink too many calories. A lot of adults consume to 200 to 300 plus calories than they need. And the kids even eat to 2 to 500 more calories than we need. And this, of course, leads to overweight and heart diseases. To summarize, the deprived areas are at the point that that the obesity helps the COVID-19 get up the risk of death in this type of countries. So what can we do to fight this? First, starting healthy. I'm not saying not to eat pizza once in a while, but also do exercise. There's a lot of fun ways to do that, believe me. And don't say you don't have time. I know you have enough. So just do it and you'll see.
Manuel, thank you so much. I want to thank you for the exhaustive research that you did on your topic. And yes, health is certainly everything in this life. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, let us proceed to our next participant. This is somebody who is going to talk to us about the importance of school and education during the pandemic. She is a very focused, collected, and self-driven young lady. Sophia knows how to share her calm kindness with her classmates. She makes her unstoppable thirst for knowledge into her driving force for thriving in life. And with this, let us welcome Sofia Herrera.
Today, I'm going to talk about school. It is usefulness because I think there are very important issues for everyone. My goal today is to encourage people to take advantage of their education in order to have a good future. Right now, it's difficult to go to school due to this pandemic, but that doesn't stop us from studying or looking for a solution. Some time ago, there was talk that we were going to back to school in September, but they didn't believe that the pandemic was going to last that long. But that is not the point now. Many students have online class because we're looking for a solution. Obviously, we have many tech issues that relate to the camera, the microphone, the internet, the lighting, and nonetheless, we continue studying. As so much time has passed, many schools return to face-to-face classes, and above all, with many precautionary measures. There are very few people, only those who have a certain amount of resource, those who are making an effort not to lose the younger generation, but must don't have the economical or technological resource, such as computers, laptops, tablets, or cell phones to be able to carry out a distance education. The government has an urgency to return to school. They are in a desperate search not to lose this generation. Something that has also affect us is not being able to is not being able to socialize because we can neither go to school nor extracurricular activities for our own good. Since what we have missed the most is making friends, talking, socializing, etc. This is something that has affected people, but as with everything, there is a solution, such as chatting or making phone calls or video calls. This is already a daily occurrence, but we must also not forget that the school is mainly for the studying. Classes have affected school performance. I cannot say in what percentage the pandemic has affected the educational system, but I do believe that it has affected a lot because if there was already an educational deficit, in addition to a poor quality education, the pandemic has worsened this. children no longer study at they don't seem to care, and parents worry less and less, and we need to work hard to make a change for the better.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia. And yes, I like how you focus not only on the educational aspect of school attendance, but also the social one. It's important to tackle both. Absolutely. And with this, let us make pace for our next participant. This is somebody who is going to talk to us about what we can do to get ahead. With a very balanced and grounded sense of humor for his age, Luis Hernandez, as well as a stoic spirit in the face of hardship, loves to shape his future with his own hands. And with this, let us give a warm welcome to Luis Hernandez.
What can we do to get ahead? Today, I'm here to talk about what can we do to get ahead. But what does it mean to get ahead? Well, get ahead is continuing because life will not stop. So we'll have to find ways to move on and solve our problems. As you have realized, the last few months have not been exactly easy because of everything that has happened. The disease that has caused us to be locked up for 1 year, called COVID-19. We have gone through a lot of confinement. Some people got mad, and others were happy because they didn't have to go out or go to school. On March 11, 2020, the World Health Organization classified the COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak as a pandemic due to the number of cases of contagion and the countries involved, and declared a series of recommendations for its control. That was the notice that started everything. But in the end, what we all need is to see more people, such as friends and family, and even go to the places we used to go, like parks, restaurants, and many other places. Now I'm going to share an anecdote about something that happened to me. This happened in December, during the week before Christmas. Suddenly, my grandparents got sick. But just 1 day before Christmas, my other grandparent got sick also. But that was not all. My great grandmother got sick from the same thing, COVID-19. So we couldn't see my family, and I stayed alone with my parents and my sister. It's not that I didn't feel sad at all, because there are people who would like to have at least one person to be with. But it was different. Thankfully, my grandparents are okay now. It will not be easy, but luckily every day we're closer to the end of this situation. However, it will not happen magically. And how will you do it? You ask yourself. Quite simply, just don't live unless it's necessary, and if you go out, to wear a mask and get your hands off them. Nothing new. We'll all have to contribute. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Well done, Tico. Thank you so much for having shared such a personal experience with us. I want to personally thank you for opening up to us in that very personal aspect of yourself and for encouraging us all. Thank you very much. All right. So with this, ladies and gentlemen,
Let's continue with a girl that is going to speak about the relationship with nature. She's an excellent girl who enjoys the English language and is someone who likes to give her best always. So welcome to Fatima Garcia.
Planet is not a place to visit. It is home. Strange but true. Have you ever heard that humans kill more sharks than sharks to humans? Sharks kill an average of 5 people per year. Meanwhile, humans kill about 100 million sharks per year. Why? Because they only kill for food or when they feel attacked, and we just for sport. So we cannot say we have a good relationship with nature. With the help of COVID-19 pandemic, people are rethinking their relationship with nature and considering the consequences to their own well-being and survival results from continuing biodiversity loss and the degradation of ecosystems. But the pandemic has also demonstrated that transformative changes are possible when they must be made. But the most important, the decisions and actions we take now will have profound consequences for all species, including ours. Unless environmental protections are drastically scaled up, there could be millions of premature deaths by the middle of this century, with pollution in freshwater systems becoming a major cause of death by 2050. After all that I just said, we found a conclusion. Humanity thinks some species are dangerous without seeing us. When the COVID-19 arrived, the world stopped, and that thing helped and is still helping to recover the lands, seas, and ecosystems we have destroyed. But when the virus passes, we will get back to destroy again as always. If we see it in a positive way, we can make huge changes if we choose to live in harmony with the other species and not to kill them. When we heal Earth, we heal ourselves.
Thank you, Fatima. It is certainly vital to be constantly reminded to care for the environment. Thank you very much. Now, let's continue with that young man.
Yes, he is always he's a very enthusiastic student. He loves Beatles songs because he shares these feelings with his grandfather. He's always willing to participate in our events, and today was certainly not the exception. His topic is Heroes with Us. Let's welcome Andrés Chávez.
In fiction, they are heroes, and in comics, but in the real life, they are real superheroes. Yeah, real superheroes. But they are not fighting against crime or maybe big villains like Thanos or Darkseid. No, they are fighting against a big enemy, the COVID-19. And who are these heroes? Who are these powerful men that are giving the life? Well, they are the doctors. Yeah, the doctors are the real superheroes at these times. That's why, but maybe I will ask you something. Why? Why a superhero? He doesn't have powers. He doesn't fly like Superman. He doesn't, well, he doesn't fly like Batman or have super straight like Hulk. But no. But they are giving their life to save the other ones. And only with that, they are superheroes. Yeah. Giving the life to save others is why a superhero is one. Only to give the thinking about all these people that they will save, and maybe they don't will see his family, maybe they will not sleep anymore, or maybe they will suffer a lot, but they only do this because they love the people and love the life. That's why they are superheroes, and we can help them. All the superheroes need help. They cannot be fighting alone. But what we can do to save these superheroes? Well, staying in our home. Staying in their home is a simple thing that we can do, but it can do a big change in this pandemic. Yeah, it's good to stay in our home and staying safe about the COVID-19. And we cannot give any powers to that COVID, and the doctors will save one more time the people. They are superheroes. They are the most stronger ones, and not just like the Avengers. That's why at these times, or superheroes, or Avengers, or Justice League are the doctors. And we need to give a big thanks to all the sacrifices that they are doing.
Thanks, Andres, for reminding us about how real heroism can be if we are brave enough to practice it ourselves. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very good, very good. So next we are going to listen about the new life under a deadly virus. Mia Mancillas is a very energetic, attentive, refreshing girl. She's a dreamy lass, eager to discover as much as she can about this big wide world. So let's welcome Mia Mancillas.
Attitude is a little thing that make a big difference. Hello, teachers and classmates. Today I'm going to talk about the issue of the future of humanity dealing with a deadly virus. This virus that evolved during 2020, COVID-19, is a lesson for us to learn all the bad things that we have done over time. Science man has been responsible for the extinction of some animals, pollution, global warming, and so forth. Although it's not the first time that a pandemic like this has occurred, this virus quarantined us around the world. This virus may also change science. There will be a new normal, and we will see new inventions to be able to live with this type of virus. But it will be not easy to get out of this pandemic. In case that we get out of this pandemic, I would say that no matter how much we want to go back to how our lives were, they will not be the same again. It all depends on us, humans. Then my theory is that we brought the pandemic ourselves, we should also overcome it by ourselves. We also create an awareness of the fairness of the current situation, that most of the people have no respect the quarantine, knowing that there is a virus. Sometimes they not even wear their mask, knowing that at this time it is essential to that they wear them. The risky situation in which COVID-19 put us should make us reflect on what we are and what we want to be, and the importance of protecting that we love, like our parents, grandparents, children, and friends, and valuing what we have. When we resist renouncing privilege, such enjoying a party, walking on the beach, or going out without a protective mask, and we have not understood that there is a pandemic, a worldwide disease, and we are not willing to give in a favor of a majority, that resistance shows us in majority. At 1 year into COVID-19 pandemic, with more than 13 million confirmed cases and around 550,000 deaths worldwide, much has been learned about SARS-CoV-2, its epidemiology and forms of contagion to its spread in people. It is the impact of chronic disease and their future forecast that make it essential to develop comprehensive epidemiological surveillance systems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your invitation for everybody to reflect about all of the changes that we will see in the near future and about how we must be prepared for them. Thank you very much. All right, and with that,
now we are going to continue with a young man, student, an excellent in all what he's doing in his activities. He's also a good friend and who always gives his best. He never gives up and always finds a way to do things. With his title, How is to be a Teen During the Pandemic, Diego Garcia.
If you think to be in quarantine is hard, you can't imagine how it's to be a teenager in a pandemic. Today, I will talk about how it's to be a teenager in a pandemic and the possible consequences that this pandemic of COVID-19 will arrive with new consequences to the new generations. In my opinion, kids and teenagers have one of the most difficult parts of the consequences of the pandemic of COVID-19. They suffer many consequences like social, emotional, and physiological consequences, and a rapid change of a daily routine. There are many changes that happen during this pandemic. For example, how we learn today. Before the pandemic, we can go to a classroom, sitting on a desk and paying attention to the teacher that was in front of the class and giving their lesson. And then in the recess, we can go to socialize with another classmates. But now, we the only thing that we can do is to pay attention to a screen. And many teenagers and kids can support their lessons during the pandemic and they left the school. Or the communication with your friends and family. Before the pandemic, we can go with friend's house, a mall, a park, anywhere, with anyone. But now we need to stay at home. And if you want to interact with another person, you need an electronic device. In fact, the use of electronic device increased at 73% only in 2020. And one of the most important topics is emotional crisis and a mental illness. In this period of life, everyone have an emotional crisis, but the new generations have more stress and are more likely to have a mental illness like anxiety, depression, or a mental eating disorder. But not only that, they're likely to have skin problems, difficult to sleep, etc. What I can do to support emotional crisis in a point of view of a parent and a teenager. If you're a parent, please be there, talk, and more important, listen. Your kids and teenagers want to express themselves, but if you don't be there, they can't do it. And don't make fun of their problems because they will break the trust that you have with them. Or if you are a teenager, first relax. And if you and only you want to talk with any adult, your dad, your mom, your aunt, your grandparents, go with it. But if you don't do it. If go by your time. And remember, you're not alone. You can do many activities that to minus the stress. For example, reading. That actually it's my favorite one when I feel stressed. Or paint. Or you can make exercise like yoga. But don't be realistic. Don't do 45 minutes of exercise when you never do exercise in your life. It's to relax you, not to faint you. Just it's good to do new things, but don't do things that you don't want. In conclusion, this is a bad time, and we all agree. But if you are focused in the good things that maybe this pandemic has, you can learn something, and you can help others like me with this speech that you had listened. My name is Diego Alejandro Garcia Valdez. I am from Saltillo, Coahuila in North Mexico, and I want to send a human message to the world. You're not alone, and this time will pass by.
Thank you very much, Diego. And yes, it is very good as grown-ups, as adults, to be reminded about the hardships that teenagers and young people go through. This is exactly what our event is for, so it is exactly what we expect. Thank you for your topic and your participation.
Thank you. And our next participant, she's a warm girl, giving a hand other whenever it's necessary. Even when situations seem to be difficult, she's always working hard and never gives up. With the title, People Who Disobey the Rules in the Pandemic, Alejandra Rosales.
I'm a student from Villa Educativa de Saltillo who will talk to all those people who are being part of the problem in this COVID-19 pandemic. Since March of 2020, we entered a new world caused by the virus COVID-19, and since that month, the life of everyone have changed and become more difficult. We started to have new distinct problems like economic, or we got sadder because we miss seeing people, or in the worst cases, we have lost to those loved ones of our lives. So I know sometimes we want to go out maybe for being with that person one more time or to get distracted for only a moment. But we really need to stop doing that. It's so risky. At first, I want to thanks to all the people that thinks for the world and stay home, who wears the mask and wash their hands every day when returning from work or shopping, because they are being part of the solution. They are like small heroes. In the other hand, I want to express that I'm so angry and disgusted for those who still going out and don't take care of the world. Because of them, a lot of lives are being ruined. I know it isn't easy to be locked in a house and can't hang out with friends, but do you know you're putting lives in risk by doing that? Did you know you're complicating the work of many doctors? Please, I implore you to don't go out. It's much better to stay home and safe with your family than going out and spread people or get infected. Perhaps you're young, and if you get sick, it won't be serious for you. But the ones who really will feel the consequences would be your parents, elderly people, nurses, doctors, etc. You could end with the life of someone that is vulnerable. And hospitals are saturating. They're running out of oxygen tanks, stretchers, and medicines. You make the doctors unable to go to their homes and rest because of caring for the people you are infecting every time you go out. But not everything is bad. You're in time of change yourself, and I'm going to give you the solutions. The first one is that if you want to talk and see people, do it virtually. I know it isn't the same as seeing face to face, but it's safer. There exist many apps and social media for doing that. You can even play and watch movies through calls. Believe me, there are several options to be with those you want without having to be physically close to them. The second one involves the government, as this is everyone's problem. They should put fines to the people who go out without a reason or who doesn't follow the sanitary rules. And maybe they should even set a deadline hour to go out. It could sound too strict, but it is what we need to keep ourselves in order. And the third one is that if you really need to go out, maybe for go to work, shopping, or an emergency, it's an obligation to go out wearing your mask, use antibacterial gel, or wash your hands constantly, and have a reasonable distance between every person to prevent the virus going to your body. Keeping us safe is everyone's job. And if we all cooperate, this will end earlier. As well as if you are of those who are still going out, think before that because you already know all the problems that happen in the world because of you. Protect yourself and others. We need each other.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra.
And yes, we need to agree on rules in order to live as a society. It just can't be helped. So thank you very much. And next, to talk to us about the topic of the mental state of people during lockdown. Luis Lopez is a well-rounded young lad with a promising future, excelling at both athletics and academic achievements. He takes his future and education quite seriously, while he also always contributes to make his environment a more peaceful and cordial place. So with that, I would like to give a great welcome to Luis Lopez.
2020 was a crazy year for most people because so many bad things happened. That is scary, so it's the year 2021. Personally, it affects my mental state more than anything. How many years do you think it will take to return to our normal lives? The purpose of this speech is to demonstrate how quarantine affects people's mental state. Not only did it affect my mental state, but also that of many people, and this is very harmful, because our physical state depends in part on our mental state. In the case of many people, their mental health decreased considerably during the quarantine. Several people develop mental illnesses like depression, anxiety, bipolarity, and another more little mental illnesses. In the case of some other people, they did not develop a mental illness, but their mood and morale decreased a lot. It's understandable on both sides, those with mental illnesses and those without mental illnesses. And well, it is almost a year and counting that we are in quarantine, and there are almost 3 million deaths for COVID-19, and showing this is quite sad. Now, I would like to talk about of experience that I had during the quarantine with mental illness. Personally, the quarantine did affect my mental state because in these last months I began to have anxiety attacks. The truth that this spread you feel when you shut off with and you cannot think clearly is a very disturbing sensation. These anxiety attacks go in hand with the death of some relatives due to COVID-19. But the good thing is I'm recovering and the anxiety attacks are decreasing little by little. Suicide have also increased and more now during the quarantine. They are derived from mental illnesses because mental illnesses are not a game or a matter. Because mental illnesses lead people to suicide. Therefore, if you have or you know someone with mental illnesses, seek professional medical help. Do not try to avoid or cope with mental illness because that is not possible. Talk to someone. Go to a psychologist if it makes you feel better. No one will judge you for you going there. If you need help, look it for it. Mental health does matter, and the fact that people's mental health is declining to the point of mental illnesses is troubling. A bad thing about mental illnesses is people don't take seriously, and people see the persons with mental illnesses like weak or just crybabies because people do not know about psychological health. As I said, mental illnesses are not a game or laughing matter. If someone says, I have depression or I have anxiety, take it seriously because with you can help prevent a possible suicide. Represents more than 1 million of people of 15 to 29 years old who have a mental illness.
Thank you so much. And absolutely, without a sound mind, you can do nothing, right? You can do anything. That's why it's important to remember a healthy mind and a healthy body. So thank you very much for your topic. And next, to talk to us about quarantined environmental pollution. Isis Leja is a passionately patriotic young lady who has resolved to persevere until she sees the bright green future for the earth that she envisions. So let's give a warm welcome to Isis Leja.
As many people know, the quarantine is causing a drastic reduction in pollution emissions in the most populated cities on the planet. No war, no restrictions. No other pandemic has caused such a dramatic impact on CO2 emissions over the last century as COVID-19 has achieved in just a few months. Matt McGrath, U.S. environmental correspondent, recently wrote for the BBC. Hello, my name is Isis, and today I'm going to tell you about the environmental pollution during the quarantine. There are fewer planes in the sky and fewer cars on the runway. Power consumption has decreased. NASA has detected the decrease in polluting gases in the atmosphere and space. Cosmologists have noticed that the planet vibrates even less. Images of world that look more crystalline, and animals that know well happily through cities without humans are and social networks. Today, I'm going to tell you about some solutions to reduce pollution. The industry and marketing strategies have accustomed us to buying, throwing away, and then buying again, without calculating the enormous impact this has on the environment. As much as possible, reuse those things that you would normally throw away. If something has been damaged, repair it. Don't rush to buy another just because you can. If it cannot be fixed or it is a product that has already been consumed, then give the useful items a new use. For example, your mayonnaise jars can become cute and creative lamps for your garden, your porch, or your living room. One way to reduce environmental pollution is to help in the recycling process. How can you do it? Classify the garbage in your house: organic garbage, paper, cardboard, glass, plastic, and aluminum, and put in special containers. We know you want and need a more comfortable life, but long-lasting disposables are one of the most serious causes of non-biodegradable waste build up. For example, diapers represent 50% of accumulated garbage in the world, and many people throw them into the water, which exacerbates the problem. For diapers, try to use one made from biodegradable material. People can also opt for reusable eco-friendly diapers. There are more and more options on the market that you can take advantage of. This same equation, try to apply it to other products. Before doing something, think about whether you really need it, what materials it is made of, or how can you less affect the environment by using it. Environmental pollution is today a concrete and direct threat to the quality of life and substance. Although it's very difficult to completely reverse the damage, we can minimize the impact of human action on the environment and reduce it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Izzy.
Thank you very much. You're absolutely right. It is very easy for people to think that with this lockdown, pollution has ceased. However, it just keeps on going in a different way. It is vital to be reminded of this in order to avoid it. Thank you very much, Isis.
Now, our next participant is a very capable student with a flair for words and a lot of share. With a title, The Fall of the Economic During the 2020 Pandemic. Welcome to Diego Guerrero.
What happened to the world in 2020? And what happened to the economy during this pandemic? Sadly, in this pandemic, a lot of problems happened, including problems in the economy. A lot of local markets around the world sadly closed down because they had no clients. As a personal experience, I was going to buy my new PC, but there was a problem that really happened around the world. This was the zero stock. I was going to buy the parts of my PC, but when I checked on almost all Mexico websites, there was no stock of parts like graphics cards or processors. This was my personal experience. But what happened in the USA? Well, in Texas, all the supermarkets had anything. They had no food, no water, no health supplies, and when I mean anything, I'm really meaning anything. People were thinking they were going to an apocalypse. Thank God we're safe and sound. The bad part of this is that people bought almost everything in supermarkets. So the people who really needed food or water were affected by this. Nowadays, this is solution. But this was a problem in 2020. Another point that affected the economy was the salary reduction. Parents around the world, including my parents, had their salary reduced by 60% or more. This was a problem when you were going to buy food or water. Fortunately, my parents and I thought about the savings we had. And thank God we're safe and healthy. As a recommendation to help people and the economy, I recommend buying and consuming local products of your city. This can help the economy in your city or in your state to grow on all points.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diego.
Thank you. And yes, the electronic aspect of human life is going to be pretty much accentuated during this time. So it is always good to reflect on that. Thank you very much. Next, with the topic of silent voices in a closet. She's very sure of herself and her way of thinking, so mature and likes to express her ideas with her own words, as it is going to happen today. With this, let's give a warm welcome to Eli Davila.
What right do you have to take our freedom? Exactly. You don't have one. So tell me, how many times have you organized or went to a party this quarantine? You don't have to lie. We are all selfish, but some people can control it. And I know you must be all sick and tired of only listening about the pandemic. But I came here to talk about a reality. I hope you're ready. Adults. Adults have to make long lines in the supermarket. They can go to work and they can have parties. Kids, on the other hand, sometimes they don't understand their classes, they haven't got an idea, and they can't see their friends. We both have it bad, right? Well, apparently not. Adults have it worse. Adults will always be right, and kids won't. It's almost ironic, you know? It's like that popular Mexican phrase, you don't know what you have until you lose it. Ask every adult that lost their job last year if they miss it. Then ask every kid that can't even go to the park if they miss their freedom. The answer is yes, obviously. But what happens next? Is their choice to not go out? Reply strike. In that case, some people are suggesting that kids go out even if they may die or if they may be the cause of the death of another one. Today I'm here after listening that one of my friends is going back to school because her mother said, and I quote, she is bored. And kids are supposed to be the stupid ones. Give me a break. Kids are not stupid, and that's something that needs to be said. If you give them information and explain the situation, they can also realize what's happening, and they should be there. They should have a voice in those important matters that will change their lives forever. At first, I wasn't sure if I was going to give this speech. I didn't want all those selfish people to listen to it. But at the end, I decided to do it. I decided to do it for those that their voices aren't heard. For all of those silent voices in a closet. I am losing my young years, and I am not the only one. I am not losing them because I'm young or dumb. I am losing them because I care. I care about my friends, my family, and all those people who miss to go out. And I refuse. I refuse to believe that because I am young, I am dumb. I refuse to believe adults will always be right. And I refuse to fix something again, like the global warming, because you didn't care. I am losing my young years because I have not finished expressing myself. My name is Eliana Alfaro. I am 13 years old and I study in Villa Educativa de Saltillo, Mexico. I am a kid. That means I'm dumb. So I probably just wasted some minutes of my life talking to you, spoken nonsense. Or did I? If somehow my words made a little sense to you, I ask you to listen, but not to me. Listen to your kids, because they deserve it.
That was so lit, so sassy. You were on fire, like an arrow to the heart. Thank you so much for your honesty and your bluntness, Ellie. Thank you so much. Amazing. So, with that, let us go to our next participant. He's going to talk to us about how COVID-19 has generated the most enormous economic crisis, or has it? A really smart boy who likes to read, and when expressing himself, he talks with passionate arguments. Let's give a warm welcome to Ramiro Valdez.
Hello, my name is Ramiro, and today I want to talk of how COVID-19, this pandemic, has affected the world in a real way, and how this has going to be a world that we, like society, are going to need to super in the future. We know that not a day we are living one of the worst health situations that we could imagine ever. That this problem has affected us in all the ways that you could think. But today I want to concentrate in one of the topics that have affected more. That is the economic. And why I'm saying that could be the question is because we only need to see, I think so that it's not a secret for nobody that not they we are living one of the worst economic situations since a lot of years. We only need to see how in all the world the poor have grown up in a extremely way, how now the unemployed is in the skies. I only need to give the example of my country. It could sound exaggerate because yes, Mexico is one of the worst, but I will want to show how this could be worse, how this is a real problem for us. We are going to see that not in Mexico in the first 6 months, the poor and unemployed has grown up in people in 8.9 and 9.8 millions of people that have entered in these conditions. But it comes the question, this is only responsible for pandemic because all the people say that this is the real problem, but finally it's a mix of a lot of situations. We need to consider that. We have, yes, the pandemic, the worst problem, but at the same time, we have responsible people, governments that didn't know how to work in this situation. They can't take action that has been function for everybody. And with this, we have the worst mix that you could have for a world and a society. We only need to think in all the people that can open their business, can work another time because they have been sick or they lost their works in the staff cuts. All the people have been affected. Everybody, I think so that nobody in the world has been saved of this problem, not a day. And with this day comes the question that it exists a solution. It exists something that we could do to solve that, to control, but it could exist in the past, I think so, but the past has been the past, and nowadays we only can wait. Because we are only people, we didn't have the power to solve something like that. A lot of people think that when all the people will be vaccinated, all are going to be okay, but no, that is a lie. We need to accept that the world is more difficult like that, and finally, a lot of people have been suffering, a lot of people, they are going to be recovered of this problem. And I know that it sounds negative, but as I say, we are only people, we are only humans, we didn't have this power. Doesn't matter if we think that all are going to be okay, we need to accept that sometimes we need to suffer and support the problems. And finally, I think because sometimes the suffer is the better thing that we could have, because sometimes you need to suffer to advance and be better like a society, and in our case, like people. And that is all that I want to say like a citizen of the world. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ramiro. Thanks as always. Thank you so much for reminding us of the interdisciplinary and the transversion and the intersectional aspect of the situation in which we are living now with this health crisis. Thank you very much.
Now, our next participant, she studies the first grade of secondary, is really attentive of her classmates' needs and loves to help every time there is a chance. With the title of the speech, How the Pandemic Has Helped the Environment, Maureen Elias, welcome.
Turn a tree into a firewood for you, but it will not produce water or fruit for your children. Hello, my name is Marina Elias, and today I'm going to talk to you about how the pandemic has helped the environment. There is clear water in the Venice canals, blue skies over Delhi, and wild animals are remaining boldly in lockdown cities. The oil industry and airlines are floundering in this new world, and carbon emissions are falling fast. But there are also mountains of food waste going to ways that our supply chains aren't set up to deal with. And what is more, the radical changes that to the daily life that we were seeing that now we're not, thankfully, going to be permanent. History tells us that when emissions have fallen sharply in the past, as they do after recessions, there is often a rocketing that wipes any short-term cut out in emissions. The positive effect of the lockdown is to decrease the carbon dioxide emissions by the minus 17%. That is equal to the minus 11 to minus 25%. By the 7th of April of 2020, with respect to mean the level emissions in 2019, Air Quality Index, the AQA, is the estimate of the air quality that is lower the AQI value that is better to the air. So the pandemic has separated us from our loved ones. It has prevented us from going to many places as a family or with friends. And for us, the people, the humans, is a bad point of the pandemic. But let's put it aside and think about the animals and the plants that are out there, the environment. Let's go back in the time to the first month of the pandemic, where not many people were going out to parties or to work. That time was the nature was able to regenerate and be a little bit like before when there was not so much pollution. So I invite you to stop polluting what is not necessary to be in a pandemic to take care of the environment. If I knew that the world will end tomorrow, I still today plant a tree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Myrene. And I am very glad to see how this young generation is constantly reminding us about all of the technological developments that will take place in the near future. We're very excited to see how you are willing to be a part of this change. All right, so
our next participant is an excellent student with a promising future and a lot of talent, always giving the best of him, with the title Mental and Emotional Illness Due to Quarantine. Let's welcome to Edgar Garcia.
No matter what the situation is, don't let your emotions dominate your intelligence. The world has found many cases of mental and emotional illness, such as Eduardo's one, that for so long that he was at home began to suffer of depression, starting with a slight headache into thinking about suicide. Do you know that each year near about 800,000 people commit suicide, and suicide is the second leading cause of disability in 2021? Now, have you suffered from depression, anxiety, stress, or other emotional illness? No, or you haven't noticed. Today, I'll talk about the mental and emotional illness due to the quarantine, a topic that keeps a very strong relation with the humanity at abroad, because till today, in some parts of the world, countries are still in quarantine. Being in your house by long periods of time could deliver illness that we have never experienced. That's why people all around the world are suffering of them, but especially the teenagers, because they can go out or being with their friends in the least recommended stage. And that means that we all have to share what we feel, so we can know the statistics if we have or not any of these illness. First thing, the types and symptoms. There are two principal and more common illness. The number one is depression or major depressive disorder. This is a disorder that isn't overcome overnight. It causes a feeling of constant sadness and a loss of interest in doing different activities. You may have a hard time doing everyday activities and sometimes feel like life is not worth living. But hey, not everything is bad. There are people who feel better taking antidepressant medications, since many times this happens due to a lack of happiness hormones. The principal depression symptoms are sadness, frustration, loss of interest, insomnia, tiredness, lack of appetite, and suicidal thoughts. The number two is low self-esteem. This is not exactly a disorder, but it is one of the most common emotional problems that exist, and especially among us young people. According to Georgia Gold Primary Care Research Institute studies show that 1 in 4 teens deal with low self-esteem. When we speak of the lack of this, we refer to a perception of ourselves that exempts us from perceiving ourselves as a valuable, talented, or simply having a negative judgment about who we are. Those who have problems of self-acceptance, it's difficult for them to respect and value themselves as they should be. The principal low self-esteem symptoms are increased heart rate, accelerated breathing, sweating, tremors, nervousness, feeling weak, having trouble falling asleep, and suffering with gastrointestinal problems. And finally, the solutions. For these two problems, doctors recommend to attend a psychologist so they can stop the advance of the disease. Other way, you can get antidepressants, but just if your psychologist recommends. So you can get the degree portion and medication. There are other simple methods like doing exercise or listening music that keep your brain and your mind busy instead of thinking in other bad or sad things. And now that we know when we can deliver any of these illnesses, at least you know what to do and which are the symptoms. And before the depression converts into the second cause of disability in 2021, let's make an effort and prevent illness. Take care.
Está.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diego, and everybody who is.
Edgar.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Edgar. And all of the people who are reminding us about the importance of maintaining a sound mental health. I am glad that it's not only one person, but that multiple people agree that this is the basis of even our physical health. Thank you very much. And let's continue now with a student who is going to talk to us about how is technology affecting and helping us. She loves to dance. At the same time, she also enjoys being a good and responsible student who is always trying to do her best. With this, let's give a warm welcome to Mariana Carrillo.
It's not fading technology, it's fading people. Steve Jobs. Hello, I'm a student from Villa Educativa Saltillo, from Saltillo, Coahuila, Mexico. As our citizen, today I want to talk about the technology, how it's helping and affecting us, and also about the situation that we have faced with COVID-19. COVID-19 pandemic is changing how we live our life. Some of us sad, some of us have adapted and gotten stronger to be able to confront anything. Think about it. What you have faced and learned from this. In my case, I learned that then after storm comes the sun. What do I mean by this? Is that in your life always are going to be bad times, but then it will fix it and will be good days. I know that is not an easy situation. Was a year with a lot of anxiety, depression, stress, and having a lot of problems. The most of the person have to stay in their house because quarantine. Some of us was infected of this virus. Some of the person lost family. I lost family too, and I know that this situation is not easy. The most of us have to adapt it to taking classes online. To someone it become easy or difficult that situation. But in these days, we have a lot of things that help us. One of those things is the technology. The technology is having a great impact in our society because now the most of us depends on it for work, for classes, meeting, or for only talk with someone, a family or friend. Well, the technology is affecting us negatively. Experts have found that in addition to making our life more convenient, but there's a negative side to technology. It can be addicting and it can hurt our communication skills. Extending screen time can result like health ramifications, like insomnia, eye strain, and increased anxiety and depression. Social media and mobile devices may lead to psychological and physical issues, such as I said, eye strain and difficulty focusing on important tasks. They may also contribute to more serious health conditions. The overuse of technology may have more significant impact on developing children and teenagers. These are the cons of the technology. Now I will tell the pros. Thanks to the internet and mobile technologies, we can communicate with anyone in the world and form relationships with people who are some distance away, rather than being limited to the people within our physical vicinity. This has some great positives for both home life in work life. In regards to work life, employees are able to communicate with coworkers from anywhere, which allows more employees to work from home. So now we know that we have pros and cons to technology, and that we are facing a really sad situation, but I hope that this will fix it earlier. Technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master. Christian Lewis Lynch.
Thank you very much, Mariana Carrillo. Yes, and I thank you for such a formal and elegant delivery of such vital information during these pressing times. With that, we now go to our segment in which we present the speeches that are going to be given by the teachers of our school. The first one today, best of both worlds, Carmen Daran combines the knowledge acquired from her life experience in Mexico City and her experience in the northern region. She always knows how to spice her pedagogy with a refreshing and healthy dose of pop culture. And her topic is how astonishing it was to become a great grandmother during the pandemic. With this, let's give a warm welcome to Ms. Carmen Daran.
A tiny bit of heaven sent from above, a sweet little miracle to treasure and love. Have you ever thought on how the pregnant women are feeling or living since COVID outbreak? Let me tell you that they are not living uncertainty on how well their children are going to come to this world. They are afraid to get infected even when they are in the hospital. I'm going to talk to you about the differences in the way of living the pregnant women were living in before the COVID and during COVID-19. Before COVID-19, pregnant women used to go to the gynecologist with more than a person. Nowadays, only one person is allowed. They used to go to the stores to feel the softness of a cloth, the smoothness of a toy, or to watch carefully the characteristics of a crib. Nowadays, shopping online is the only thing they can do to be healthy. They also can have parties that we call in Mexico baby shower, where people used to express their best wishes and to make them feel happy, have fun, and relax. Nowadays, no contact is recommended. When the baby was born, one person can be there, just close to them in the operating room to encourage them. Nowadays, only physicians are there. In the past, with no pandemic time, the room of the mom in the hospital were like a party, receiving people going in and out, willing to hug the baby. Nowadays, only one person can be in the room because they are afraid of getting infected. Later, when the baby was at home, they were receiving mommy's friends or relatives. Nowadays, Zoom is the closest thing to the outdoors. Maybe you are wondering, why did I say that it was astonishing for me to become a grandmother, excuse me. Let me tell you that 7 months ago, my daughter, Kareri, was a brand new mother, but wrongly, she was given a positive COVID-19 and she was taken into the COVID area. Even when I insisted to the gynecologist that it was a really big mistake, he was afraid. He did not manage about this because this is at the early, we may say in August, and he stood on what the COVID doctor said. A positive COVID is a positive COVID. So my daughter went to the COVID area and her baby was taken away from her. No one was taking care of Kareri, and her one because it was a cesarean surgery and took longer to be healed. Why? Because she was only monitored from out of the door. And she was not the chance to have her baby with her, so she didn't feed him as she was planning. The worst thing is the emotional damage that Kareli had during those days. She was there alone, isolated, with no help. Even if she needs to sit down or stand up, no one was close to her because they thought she was infected. Finally, the pediatrician, who was well prepared and skilled on this matter, convinced the doctors in the hospital that they were not infected because Leilani, my granddaughter, had 2 PCR tests and blood tests also, and the results were negative. And my daughter, even staying in the hospital, fortunately, she had no symptoms at all, and no one in my family either. So they decided to take Kareli and her daughter out of the hospital as in the day that it was planned to. And the bill for the hospital increased a lot. But now those days are left behind. And I am really happy with my daughter because I know that she's the bravest mother that Leilani may have. She never gave up in the hospital and she didn't authorize any COVID medicine. So she stand very sure and positive. And nowadays they are together. When they left the hospital, they were taken by the back door, if we may say, where the COVID patients were going now. And maybe you are thinking, why am I saying these things? Because living in this pandemic for pregnant women is really difficult. So I just want you to please keep in mind that you may need to be close to them. Please give them a call, not only messaging. You have Zoom to have digital calls. Let them know that you are there. Let them know that you are willing to meet their babies because they still feel alone and they still feel afraid. And now I can say that becoming a grandmother during this pandemic time was to recharging my heart and my soul with the most indescribable love. And when they placed Leilani in my arms, my granddaughter, she slept in my heart.
Thank you so much, Ms. Carmen. Thank you so much for opening up to us, for sharing such a personal, recent experience of yours. It is much appreciated. And certainly, motherhood is unstoppable. Nothing can stop motherhood. So let's all work together to keep it going, to see how we can help that to continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carmen. And the next participant is standing next to me. Fascinated by the study of antiquity, linguistics, and ethnography, Alejandro enjoys book collecting and camping, as well as learning about gardening and agriculture. Here is Alejandro Alatorre. Thank you.
What are viruses? What are pathogens? What are exosomes? How do we distinguish viruses from exosomes? Are all viruses pathogenic, or are some of them benign or not harmful at all? To people who study these things, virologists, epidemiologists, microbiologists, all of the ologists, the academics, the specialists, the scholars, do all of them agree on exactly what is the definition of a virus? How do we distinguish it? Do they agree on what constitutes a kind of virus? Are viruses classified into species the way living beings are? Or are they classified in some other way? Do specialists agree on how they are classified? More importantly, will the PCA or principal component analysis establishing that COVID is indeed a different kind of coronavirus, different from the ones previously known, eventually be made to the public? Will the genome of this virus be sequenced and shown to people? I wonder all of these things, ladies and gentlemen. I also wonder if it is morally valid to pressure people within a very short period of time to inoculate themselves with an engineered deadly virus, even if found in a debilitated state. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alejandro Latorre, and today I would like to talk about certain important questions regarding the current situation, which I think cannot be left unanswered. Is it a good idea to outsource the deliberation that allows us to answer all of these questions to politicians? Are politicians ready to tell us all of this scientific information? Even more, what are the roles of the state? What are the responsibilities? What is the purpose of the state for existence? What is its raison d'etre? All of these things need to be established. And the fact that they have become questions shows us that our society has come to a point where there is so much heterogeneity, where there is so little agreement on such basic things that we need to outsource conciliation to the state. How many people are there in our society who can really answer all of these questions? It seems to me like we're getting to a point where politicians, when they fail, they blame each other. But at a certain point, they say, you know what, we're not going to blame each other anymore. Let's just blame the average citizen. If we can blame people for leaving their houses or for living their lives or for exerting their freedom, if we can take those things and attribute to them the current healthcare crisis, then it would be very convenient for those people. However, it is necessary to keep a well-collected and composed mind when making all of these decisions. Truth is that in most countries, we have primary, secondary education, and also high school. And the purpose of this is to endow the citizen with the necessary knowledge to make decisions regarding what goes on in politics so that he can be informed enough to elect a representative. However, what happens when the information necessary to make these decisions gets too technical and too scientific? I think that a mind that is prone to losing itself to passions and panic is also very prone to finding him or herself in the same situation as Henny Penny. Yes, Henny Penny. Remember that movie, Chicken Little? There was a big drama because the animals thought that the sky was falling down, but it was only starting to rain. When they found this out, a whole pandemonium had already taken place. So what is important to do now? We need to slow down, to think before we act. We need to avoid panic. We need to take our time, and we need to avoid being taken advantage of. It is important for us to always remember, when it comes to wicked people in power, they thrive on pandemonium and panic. Let's not allow this to happen by having a composed mind. Let us always keep composure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Thank you very much. Thanks for bringing up the scientific minutia that we must not lose sight of during this lockdown.
Well, up next, also standing next to me, is an avid rhetorician and educator. Patricia Vargas Lugo celebrates life every day by accompanying and guiding her students and always finding new ways to share her enthusiasm with her co-workers and family. She's going to talk to us about changing your thoughts and changing your life. With you, Patricia Vargas Lugo.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Life circumstances or difficult situations are everywhere. Example of it is the global pandemic, which has affected the entire world in many different ways that we all know. Nevertheless, the problem is not the pandemic or any other trouble that we can have. The problem is the way and the attitude we take to solve conflicts. Being positive will help people to become confident and able to have different perspectives of the whole scenario. But it is not enough. There are other important things we need to perform if we want to have a better life. I am Patricia and I live in Saltillo, Mexico. The word speech rang the bell on me and inspired the idea to motivate the students to take the challenge and be part of this. They kept them out from the comfort zone and the lockdown routine. I know that speaking in public and broadcast live make people get nervous and bring you negative thoughts, such as, I am not able to do that, or a strong belief that only great speakers can deliver a message to the world. Why don't we change for a simple words? Yes, I can, and I will make it happen. That action will bring you the possibility to empower your life. On January 8th, I lost a great man, my father, to whom I love very much. I know that many people have suffered losses. We know that death is something natural and it can happen to any of us. But when the loss happens to you, your life changes completely. In my case, it was hard to focus on my job. I didn't want to see friends, and I don't want to talk or chat with my family, sorry about that too, but that happened to me. There were too many concerns that I need to deal and solve if I wanted to feel better. I knew that I had to do something, so I asked myself, what do I do? I started changing the way of thinking to see the positive side of the situation. That I had too many plans to pursue, such as spend more time with my family, read more, smile more, and do things like I am doing right now, that they were very important to recover my life. After that, I began to pay more attention about my feelings and moods. I understood that they were not very enthusiastic or optimistic at all, that I need to change them first if I wanted to have or feel much better. I need to focus on all my activities like they were be positive. Also to enjoy the beautiful moments that we have, like this moment, with more patience, love, and care. Changing your thoughts, changing your life is completely true. Gandhi used to say that your beliefs become into your thoughts become into your moods, and your moods become into your behavior. And that's why
our behavior is heavily influenced by our thoughts and mindset. So it's time to bring more positive actions to our day. By the way, do you know that thousands of thoughts cross our mind during the day? There's a study at the Queen University in Canada that says that an average person has 6,000 thoughts per day, but most of them are not at will. Some of them are negative, so we need to be aware of it and bring positive thoughts to our life. Therefore, I want to give you just 4 ideas that I know that if you practice them, you're going to feel much better. Number 1, make a list of activities you like and enjoy that makes you feel good. Number 2, if you get in a negative mood, choose this list to remind you of the positive actions you can take to create the positive thinking. Number 3, this is the most important action that you can do. Pray. Pray with faith, with decision, with passion. And 4, don't forget to be thankful every day. And lastly, think if your thoughts are helping you to reach your goal.
Thank you so much, Ms. Patty, for sharing that very personal anecdote of yours. Ladies and gentlemen, I am told that we are short on time, so let's allow our next participant. She's going to talk to us about teachers at Crossroads. I would just really want to say this about her. She's highly resilient and steadfast. Johnny Rare has devoted her life to pedagogy across all levels, from elementary language education to language training of adults from all walks of life. She takes pride on her exceedingly accomplished children and her dedication to her calling and those who surround her. Big applause for Johnny Rare.
Hello, I am a teacher here at Villa Educativa in Saltillo, Coahuila. I have the pleasure of teaching secondary and primary here. But why am I here? We as teachers are at a great crossroad. We never thought we would have to change our ways of speaking or talking or teaching to our children until COVID. Teaching is hard enough in person. But being confined in this room for 365 days and trying to give the best teaching that we can give is almost impossible. I said almost. Teaching is hard enough. We try to make sure in live, we watch our students, we look at them, we give them those hugs, we investigate, we know that they're learning, we keep questioning, we can do things together using boards and technologies. But life was easy. We never thought until last year that we had to learn new technologies, new applications like Zooms. Many days and nights we spent frustrated, trying to master applications, insisting to give the best teaching, the essential to our students, the best of us. We're working 7 days a week, sometimes 12 hours a day, to make sure that we can give them the tools, because now we have to teach in a screen. Teaching in a screen, you can't see if your students are really sad or they're learning. We don't know what's happening. So we've had to learn many inventive ways to make our students have the best education that we give, to make sure we're there. We had to develop new senses, learn to nurture all over again, talk and make them talk. Some say that this room is my jail. This is not my jail. This classroom is my learning center to teach my students the best way we can. We've had to learn to teach more empathy and sympathy. Let them learn what is important. Teachers, these are our future leaders who have not been able or not know how to express themselves, and we need to make them strong. We need to give them the wings so that they can soar past this epidemic. We need these people. We need them strong. We cannot let them fall into depression, into addictions of video games or anything. We need to listen to them. I am a mother. I am a person. But my biggest job now is a teacher. And I ask all of you teachers, step up and take this challenge so that we can make our students healthy, wealthy, wise, and fly. I'm a teacher at the Educativa. My name is Joni Rocha, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Johnny, for your kind and warm words of encouragement. We could really, really use those right now. Thank you very much. Next, well, we have come to the end of our event today. We had more participants in mind with recorded videos. However, we understand that we have time constraints. So we would like to thank so much everybody working at the World Speech Day event, especially those who are in Singapore, Susan and Peter and everybody who helped us along the way. Thank you so much.
Yes, and thanks everyone for watching our students, Villa Educativa from Saltillo. Mexico wishes you the very best and take care and be safe. And see you next year.
See you next year.
See you next year.